To break down the debuts of each of the three rookie quarterbacks, let's start off with the top overall pick, Bryce Young. Bryce Young, he had, I think, what was a mixed bag, mostly bad against the Atlanta Falcons. Not a really good defense, but they had improvements in the secondary. You know that Jesse Bates signed from the Cincinnati Bengals, and he made 2 interceptions early against Bryce Young. A couple of the same type of routes he's trying to throw over the middle, gun it in. And yeah, he has a lot of zip on that arm for sure, because despite him not looking the biggest of quarterbacks, I saw his arms a little scrawny, but he has just natural arm strength, I think. But a couple times he just couldn't fit balls into tight corners, and that's that veteran presence that Jesse Bates has. He knows when to drive on a ball, cut those passes off, and they resulted in interceptions. Also a fumble by Bryce Young, not really that good, but a touchdown pass to Hayden Hurst. You know that Hayden Hurst is going to be a guy that's a tight end, that is a go-to guy that's going to be running shallow crosses, solid routes along the flat, dink and dunk, and that's always going to be a pacifier for young quarterbacks to get easy completions, get yards after the catch in that short passing game. Didn't see Bryce air it out a ton, and you know they're going to slowly work that in as the season progresses. I think definitely some things to work on against what is a pretty mediocre Atlanta Falcons defense. I wasn't too happy with it, but I know it's going to be growing pains with a lot of these rookie quarterbacks. You can't just expect these rookie quarterbacks to just be goats right off the bat. It takes time, it takes development, and also their surrounding casts for all these teams aren't the greatest of deals either. So let's have some time, have some patience, and get a bigger sample size before we label these rookies as busts or goats, whatever it may be. And to transition to Stroud, he had a pretty mixed bag as well. I think a lot of it was just nerves. He looked like he was dinking and dunking, but made smart reads, to be honest. I mean, not any turnover worthy plays. I think there was one that maybe he forced in. It was a great escape act, but when you get the escape ability, you also get some people that try to force balls in, and he threw a ball kind of up for grabs into triple coverage. Thankfully fell incomplete, and that fumble, definitely something he has to work on in terms of ball security. The Ravens defensive line is pretty good. I wouldn't say anything extraordinary, but again, they have players that can get to the quarterback, and Bryce Young and CJ Stroud has to be careful. That clock has to speed up. That first quarter looked a little slow, but found players, and then in that second quarter it seemed to speed up yet again. But in the third, that's where that fumble came in and just was too slow to react to the Ravens pass rush. So obviously he has to work on improving some things. A lot of things were underneath, within 10 yards or so. I'm sure as the season progresses, we're going to see him air it out a lot more. But remember, they don't have a lot of receivers. I know they have Mechie, they have Dalton Schultz signed from the Dallas Cowboys, but a lot of things were underneath. And for right now, what you want to work on is just fitting balls into tight windows, getting easy completions, moving the ball, and trying to get a defense off kilter with that no huddle attack. But just like Bryce Young, I think he had actually a better performance than Bryce Young, but still nothing extraordinary. To go in deeper to Anthony Richardson, I think I see a lot of potential there. Out of the three, he has the bigger body. He is a dual threat quarterback. He didn't seem that he had the training wheels per se, just a lot of smart reads throughout the game. And the Jaguars defense is pretty solid. I mean, I think they're middle of the pack. Definitely held onto the ball a couple of times, but you'll see that with quarterbacks, especially the younger ones. They're going to hold on to the ball. They're going to think that that clock hasn't quite expired yet. I saw him get a rushing touchdown, typical Anthony Richardson right there, but he did get dinged up. You know that in that post-game embrace that he had with Trevor Lawrence, he actually talked about go down more, sit down, get out of bounds, because those hits in the NFL, they're different. They accumulate, and offensive lines aren't going to be the same as they were in the SEC or just having time like you had in college. Remember, in college, it's like free agency, but there's no cap limit. You get the best recruits at your program, and you can't be accustomed to having that amount of time compared to what you have in the NFL. A lot of times, that gap between great defensive linemen who are pretty prolific athletes versus offensive linemen is pretty steep. There's a huge difference in terms of speed, strength, and just that bend that they can get around offensive linemen, and you saw that they got home a couple times. So remember that, like the other two, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we're going to see them slowly progress. But I think out of the three, Anthony Richardson had the best performance in week 1.